thank you and well done for doing this well and for coming right to the end. It's it's a difficult thing to commit to anything for 12 weeks. Never mind attending a course, but even with your diet and the stuff that you've had to change. And the thing is, you have to keep doing it. So this is also just the beginning of it. And a lot of what we'll talk about today is really just that 12 weeks is nothing. It's a drop in the ocean of life. And it is very much the beginning of a new future, hopefully, for most of you. Something different, just a different way of thinking, a different way of applying, and hopefully also a different way of teaching those that you are now raising or living with or are around you. And you will have found you guys do that, don't you? You tend to chat more. People ask you what you're doing, how does it work? You explain. It's actually, sometimes you actually find yourself getting almost excited about it. And it was just your health, like a really boring subject, like your health. But somebody said to me the other day that we were at a social occasion and people started talking, and whenever people find out you're a doctor, then it tends to become about somebody's problem. And they say, oh, you must get so tired of this, because, you know, whenever a doctor's there, then everyone starts talking about it. And I thought, well, I don't get tired of it, but it is something that we all do have in common. We all either have our own issues, or we know somebody that we really care about who's got serious issues. And we're either wishing to understand it or help, offer advice that's meaningful if we can. So it is something that is important to a lot of people. And I spend my life engaging people and trying to just promote in some small way, some small changes that I know make big, big differences at the end. And I think that's what you guys can do too. You don't have to change entire people and the entire way that they think. But if you can just change one thing, tiny, tiny thing, you set them on a different course. And that makes a world's difference. I remember a nautical example of a ship that's setting out from harbor, and the captain has to set in the directions. But if he's 1 degree off on his setting or his calculation, depending on how far his destination is, he can end up, if it's 10 meters away, nobody would know. And a lot of us think that way. We think very short term. We think, well, it's not quite right, but it's not a long road. And I think we forget how long our lives actually are. And 1 degree off here, 50 years later, can put you so far off course that you never ever get yourself back again. And it is important to try and stay as true to that bearing as possible, as often as you remember to do it, to just keep getting back to that. So that's what this is about for me. I'm not here to change your world. I'm here to just try to make sure that you're just lining up a little bit better again, and hopefully have influenced you enough over the last few weeks to be making those small changes, and you to be making those changes in other people's lives. And so we all influence each other and strengthen each other and encourage each other. And a lot of the reasons you come here is because you get that little bit of motivation again. You remember, yeah, I should actually try a bit harder. I'm just being silly. And that's all fine, because that's part of the process. Is a slow, constant change. And the slower it is, and the less obsessive you become about it, and the less self-punishing and critical of yourself you are, the more likely you are to succeed. And that's something you've just got to keep doing. Keep looking in the mirror and going, not today, but maybe tomorrow. That would be a very positive mirror then. Maybe. Okay, so tonight, not tonight, I'm just practicing for another lecture we're going to do. I've called you here together this evening. What we're going to do today is the last of our 4 E's. So this is the 4E, and the last of our 4 E's is the biggest block by far, and that's because it's the rest of your life. And the first thing I really just want to say about the 4E is that this process, this is a balance. You can never move from this side across to that side and stay on that side. You will find throughout your life, throughout your month or your year, you will have to sort of cycle through these sorts of ideas of get into a good space where you're maintaining your weight well. But then something happens. Nice long holiday, losing a little bit of discipline, slacking off here and there, being tired, being depressed, being upset, something changes, weight goes up. You now have been given a tool or an image in your minds which will allow you to get back to that place before you get too far off course. And you will find that you need to cycle through this continually do the elimination thing. At my family, we've tried to start a protocol of elimination. We've been on 2 sort of detox programs, I suppose, in the last year. One lasting about 3 weeks, one lasting about 10 days, where we just kind of look at what we're doing, look at how we're eating. I use some of the products that we have for detoxification, something that just gives my liver a little bit of a break, just a breather. Just a reassessment and a reevaluation of what's important, what do I need, what don't I need, am I still on course? And then we kind of get going again. And you'll find each one of those things just slows you down enough so that even when you do get back into normal life, you sort of build up slowly to it. You don't just keep bamming away at your poor body day after day after day. So I encourage all of you to do that sort of a thing. Set it in your mind. Have a thing every spring and every autumn. Have a spring clean out. Do something that reminds you that you actually do care, almost reminds your own body that you do care what's happening to it, and you do care that you are looking after it, and that you constantly are reminding yourself that you are investing into your health. So I've asked that question. I asked my patients, and I'm sure I've asked you so far in the course of this program, I do sit people down and I go through the list of what do we do, what do you do, what do you use, what do you take, how do you eat, how do you exercise, what do you smoke, drink, what job do you do? And then the horrible question of what do you do to invest in your health? What do you do to improve your health? Because avoidance of things is a passive thing. So while I don't smoke and I don't drink, these are great. These are plus marks on your page. But they are not actively improving your health. They are avoiding obvious disease and being off course. But we need something that is active. If you want your body ever to get back to something healthy and energy rich, you have to provide that input, as we talked about last week. And I hope that some of you guys will take that to heart and give it a go every now and again. I was wondering if we should do one now quickly, just to kind of get you all going. You're kind of nervous that I'll do it, though. I know you are, because there's a part of you that feels like it, and there's a big part that really likes to sit there and just listen. So we're not going to do it, so in case you're getting nervous now. All right, so going through the cycle for me is what equilibrium is about. Equilibrium is on the opposite side of a scale. It isn't a place that you move to and stay and live forever. Any form of addiction, any form of abuse, and certainly people like us who are privileged enough to have options in abundance, choices in abundance, food in abundance, will always actually find ourselves drifting a little off course, drifting to a little bit abusive side of eating and lifestyle and not caring and not sleeping enough and stressing too much and reacting to our environment rather than controlling our environment, and eating as just a way of getting through the day rather than planning what we're going to eat and how we're going to do it and thinking about it and taking the trouble that I know a lot of you have done over the last few weeks. You're thinking about what you're eating. And I wonder if that's not the number one reason a lot of people do well in a program like this. Not for anything that we talk about, except for one, I think before I put it in my mouth. I think before I just go to work that day, well, what am I going to have for lunch today? And perhaps packing something in so that you don't go and wander down the long aisle of goodies that you get to choose from every day. The other thing somebody told me from here is that often when there's a function or a do in the corporate sector, there's always food, and the food is seldom healthy. And there's often lots left over, and then it gets distributed out to the offices. So there's all this temptation all the time. And that's tough stuff to keep saying no to it. But definitely with food, and you've seen it over the last few weeks, the more often you say no, the easier it is to say no. The other thing that you have to remember is that saying no to anything is easier than saying no to the second one. Remember that thing? Once you've had one, that's the end. That's the beginning of a whole new day for you. Because by that time you go, oh, well, I had one and it was so small. I might as well have another one. Didn't he say something about glycemic index, and if you have more, then it goes in slower? And then you'll find some miserable quote from some long-lost lecture where something about this was actually okay, because it wasn't too deep-fried. This wasn't deep-fried. This samosa was actually at the top of the pot. It was kind of a shallow fried one. So if you look really carefully, you can possibly find those. Or you have a cook sister that's just got one less twist than all the others, because that's obviously like the diet sister. So this is your plan for the rest of your life. I don't mind if you don't remember me and the 4E, but remember that you need to pull it together. You need to take hold of that thing and you need to drive it. It's not going to happen by accident. I have the same problem with my hairdresser. Is you're wondering how I can have the same problem, eh? You see how I connected those things seamlessly. The problem I have with my hairdresser is she never actually phones me to make an appointment to come and cut my hair, which is so irritating. I have to phone her myself every single time. And it would be very convenient if she just phoned me every couple of weeks and says, how's it? Booked you for 9 because I see you haven't been there. But she doesn't. So it's always up to me. Hey? So this is at equilibrium, ladies and gentlemen. I wanted to tell you a few stories today because I can, and I don't want to spend too much time there. So much. I actually wanted to try a very clever little thing with the internet, but we can't hook up to any internet here, unfortunately. So I have a contingency plan, never fear, but we're going to skip this for now. If there's time, I'll come back to the wall. And the art is brilliant, but we're going to skip that. And we're going to move on to something, a little story about life that I think you need to just kind of get an image into your minds of. So what I've basically done is I've asked an artistic friend of mine, super artistic, you'll see very soon, to just sketch me a few diagrams to illustrate how the cliff actually works. So the cliff is life. Let me introduce you to the main players. This is our skinny little number, who actually, I'm not going to give you a name now. I'll give you the name next. And opposite this character is the enemy, or the evil character, slightly more chubby. And these two are in a contest, and they are actually holding each other together over the edge of a cliff. So this little guy, connected to this fat guy, hanging over the edge of the cliff, the miry abyss, a word we very seldom get to use. It's a wonderful word. I've always tried to push it in somewhere. Down below, death and destruction, pain and despair, disease. In fact, diseases. Oh, there's their names. Right. I decided to call this was Thin You, and the little one on the other side is Fat You. These are little Chinese sisters that are basically locked in a struggle. But they are both you, is the important part of the story that you need to catch. Below are all the things you can fall to and all the places that you can get destroyed. And the reason I want to tell you about this story is because this is a struggle you will have, or you have started from the moment you gained 1 kilogram, maybe even 100 grams more than you currently weigh. Because from that day, Fat You, who's lying over the edge of the cliff, started putting a little bit of weight on Thin You's rope. And Fat You started a downward course towards all these bad things we're trying to avoid in our lives. But Thin You, while she's young and healthy and fit, doesn't actually notice. And for a long time, she doesn't notice as the kilograms start to pile up and up and up. And the first pregnancy comes, and she doesn't really notice because she's quite young, and she bounces back to some extent and sometimes doesn't really, but she's fit and she's strong, so she carries on. Not much goes wrong. She goes to the doctor and her cholesterol's fine, and her blood pressure is fine, and her sugar is fine, and her thyroid is fine, and nobody picks up on the fact that actually we're starting to slip over the edge of a cliff, lower and lower. And in medicine, I don't have any tool that can tell me where you are on this cliff. Unfortunately, for the way medicine is practiced these days, I literally have to wait for you to fall onto one of these rocks, and then I can only give it a name and say, oh, you've got thyroid disease. But by that time you write down, oh, there's a little lump that we shouldn't have found before, you've got cancer. I've got to wait for you to get all the way there. But the truth is, it's a process. Maybe my cliff could be a little bit longer for you, just to kind of, because now you're really worried about how short the cliff is. I can just imagine. So purely for the sake of the diagram, not drawn to scale, shall we say, you are on the way down from the second you put on your first 100 grams. Now, this is important that you understand that you are a physical being, which is going to be around for 70 or 80 years, hopefully. And this is important because you must get an image in your mind that forces you to start making the correct choices long before you start moving down the cliff. And I want to show you another little thing. This is also something my artistic friend wrote for me. So I want to teach you about the 4 stages of life. You haven't heard of these 4 stages, and I know that for a fact because I made them up. But this is probably true. So watch how life works. You have 4 stages. The very first stage of your life is the period of time from 0 to 30. So as a doctor, I know that this is a stage of your life that you really quite well. When you come and sit in front of me, then you've probably got a sore throat or flu or a headache, something silly, something mild, because either you've been diagnosed with a serious disease when you were really young, or you haven't, and you've been pretty well from then on. If a woman comes to me and she's 25 and she says, I've got a headache, I think I have brain cancer, then I can quite comfortably say to her, it's unlikely. Because you're only 25. 25-year-olds don't get brain cancer, as a rule. You can, sure. But as a rule, 0 to 30, this is how it was for you. You can go to bed anytime you like. You can survive on 2 or 3 hours of sleep. You can party all night. You can drink. You can eat. You can make love. You can do anything a number of times and be ready to do it all again the next day. Do you remember this time of your life? It's unbelievable. You don't have to train. Someone says, let's go and climb Table Mountain. You say, okay, I'll find some shoes. We'll run up in the morning, we'll have some brekkie, and then run down in the afternoon. You've done these things. You didn't have to train and be fit. You kind of just were. When you were 15, when you were 20, you used to run around in the school playgrounds all day long. Ride on your bicycles. I hope we still have this generation. I'm not sure how I'm going to make this speech sound in 20 years' time, because I'm going to say that to the children. They're like, no, what is it? There was a game once on PS3 with a thing that had wheels, but can't really relate. So this is the gift period of life. You have been granted a gift called perfect health and life, and that really is true for the majority of us. Then we move into the next phase of life. The 30 to 50 group. Now this group I call the effort group. Now, we're still young when we're in our 30s, hey? Especially those of us who are in our 30s, we like to think that. So, I used to think that when I was in my 30s is what I'm saying. So we are still quite healthy, but the stuff we do actually just does have repercussions that it never quite used to. So if you drink too much, you really don't feel well. You start to complain about things like, oh, my back gets sore in the morning, but in the bed, and my knee. I don't go to gym anymore because my knee. Should we do a quick hands? Who's got the knee? We all have a knee. Yeah, we've got a back. We've got a bit of gout. Gout. You start using words that you remember your dad used to say. Gout. You've got little things running around in your house that totally ignore you and disrespect you, but you've got to feed them. So you've got to go to work 10 hours a day. You've got to drive them all over the place. The stuff we talked about last week. You've got this energy-sapping life. Suddenly you've got responsibility at work, at home. Socially, you start to withdraw. You don't have time for your friends anymore, so what do? You just drink alone, don't you? But you start to put on weight now when you eat too much. You want to go to gym, but you kind of don't feel like it anymore. But you know where it is, and sometimes you even drive around with your gym bag in your car. And you know how that works. So you have all these good intentions, but you don't have the energy, and you don't have the time, and you're busy, and you're stressed. And suddenly, for the first time, you start to see a little something developing on your body that wasn't really there. And suddenly your clothes don't fit quite as well as they used to. And suddenly you find yourself tired the whole day long. And you can't get over it. And you'll try and sleep, but you can't sleep enough. Your moods will start to hit you. Ladies, 30 to 50, it's a miserable time. You're having children. Then you're trying to understand them. Then you're trying to understand your husband, because husbands, we just changed just a little bit in that age, don't we? We go from this boys to men to back to boys thing, if you've got one of those at home. So where we kind of really understand everything about life, and then we understand nothing. Partly because we spent 20 or 30 years trying to understand our wives, then we give up. And then we start to go backwards as well into this horrible, weird place. So this is really a period of shock and stress and strain in many, many ways. And for many of us, this is where we make our biggest health mistakes. We withdraw completely. We eat on an emergency basis only. So we eat what's in front of us, when it's in front of us, and while it's in front of us. And the reason we eat is because it's there. So many of us, we eat like a mountaineer climbs a mountain. Have you heard why do people climb mountains? Because they're there. Why do we eat? Because there's food. 9 out of 10 times. That's why we do it. And we can't sit and be calm while there is still food there. We hate to let food die or get old or be rotten or wasted. I told you that thing though about food, that if you throw food into a bin or eat food that you didn't need, it's equally wasted. And that's something so important that possibly I say that to myself as well, because we all have this thing. We've grown up with parents who obviously grew up in the war or something where you just can't leave anything. My dad still, to this day, butters that last piece of bread in every loaf. In fact, because he knows nobody else will eat it, he will pick the crust and put butter on it and eat it, and he's fine with that. Because, in the war, there wasn't bread. He doesn't even know what a war is. But that's how he is. So this is major strain time. We all change. It gets weird. We get divorced. We get promoted. It's either good because it's good. It's either hard because it's so good, or it's hard because it's so bad, or just so dear makar. But we make many, many, many mistakes. And this is a lot of us. A lot of the people that do BetYaLife are in this category. And this is when you got to pull it together. Because after this age comes the next age. For the people who have taken the effort in your first 50 years of life, where you've actually started to consider, I need to do something active. I need to do rather than wait for it just to happen to me. Because we tend to do that too. We just wait. Well, you go to the doctor for a checkup and just don't say anything bad has happened to me. We just wait for disease to come. What have you done to improve your life? Well, I don't smoke as much as I used to. That's the kind of answers I get. Do you exercise? This is a standard thing. Do you exercise? No. And then I got even better one. Yeah, sure, doctor, I walk. Oh, fantastic. How many? 4 or 5 times a week? Oh, no. Are you talking in weeks? No. There was that one time. What month is it now? And then, yes, I walked. So when you walked, did you sweat? No, I don't sweat. Did you wear tackies? No. I don't even think I have tackies. Because from the numbers of people that tell me they walk, I would think it would be difficult to drive home because there's so many people walking all over the place. But where are these people that are walking? Walking that makes a difference means work, sweat, get your muscles warm, get your body warm, show it a bit of sweat, get it out of breath for a while. Then you're actually doing something. All the rest hardly counts, which is very scary. Hey? So these are the guys. I've put in the effort. Yes, I've gone to gym 2 or 3 times a week. I've done a few Tabatas. Although the guys, 2 years ago, people didn't know what Tabatas were. You guys are privileged now because you can achieve in 4 minutes what your parents used to think they had to do in an hour at the gym. What a bargain. So it's almost like microwave exercise, eh? It's just It's so typical of our age. I once, we like everything so quick. I once made instant coffee in a microwave and I almost went back in time. It's just like so quick now. Anyway, that joke always works better in my mind, doesn't it? But it's good, work on it. You can use it if you like. So the thing is this, we like it all quick, which is sad about our generation. We do like everything to be so quick. We like to do everything in a hurry so we can sit and do nothing for a long time. So you've got to put in, it's got to be investment. You've got to work towards it and you will reap your reward here. Because you know what? Like the patients that come to me, I think I've told you this story too. Man sits down, hi sir, how are you? How's your family history? No, my mom and dad are fantastic. My dad's got high blood pressure, cholesterol, and has had a heart attack. So I said, oh, how's he? Fantastic. No, but he's old, so it's okay. He's supposed to have those things because he's 60. And his mom can't breathe because she's asthma and she's overweight. But I thought you said they're well. Well, no, they're fine. We went there last Saturday and lunch. Look at duck lunch. Yes, my mom put sugar and everything. So, but that's not well. Yeah, but they're old. So we almost have this thing of when you get old, you're supposed to become like that. You're supposed to become senile. You're supposed to lose your memory. You're supposed to become weak. You're supposed to end up in a wheelchair one day with somebody wiping your backside and wearing nappies. Yet we're all scared of it, but there's a part of it that goes, well, yeah, but they're old. And you don't have to. You don't have to. You can avoid that stuff. But you've got to start avoiding it here already. Then you reap the rewards of that effort here. Because I tell you what, when you're 50 to 70, you've reached the top of whatever your career is going to be very often. Now you might have money. Now you may have time. Your children are out of the house. You get to go away on some nice holidays. You get to speak. You get to write a book. You get to do something to influence the world and to make a difference. And if you have energy and vitality and health, you get to really do it properly. You actually get a chance to be useful to your world and to make the difference that you haven't made up until this time. Most of us are pretty parasitic for the first 50 years of our lives. We feed off. We take as much as we can get. We gather, and then, I don't know, then we just keep gathering for the rest of the time too. But this is your time. You retire when you're 65. I'm sure it should be each one of our dreams to retire healthy, ready to go and live that last third or quarter of our lives healthy and enjoy it. Because you should live 30 years after your retirement. You shouldn't just go and fade away in a house somewhere waiting to die. Any of us who've had parents that we've watched do that, it's sad. When you go to an old age home, it's sad. It's sad not because these people are unhealthy or unwell, but because they literally, if you gave them the choice to die today rather than live another 10 years, most of them would die today because they don't know what to do for the next 10 years. They're going to do exactly the same thing for 10 more years. They don't even want to, and I'm paranoid of that. I'm scared of that than I am of Alzheimer's and of a stroke. I'm scared of that feeling of I don't mean anything anymore, and I'm kind of too unhealthy to actually make a difference anymore. That scares me. So that's why I'm putting in the effort. I'm desperate for this reward. It may not be financial, but I think we all understand the image of the reward. Then we get the next age. I call it the luck. In keeping with my Chinese theme, I used to call it dumb luck. Because the truth is, sometimes your bad genes will just catch up to you by this time. Maybe your gran had it and her mom had it, and maybe you're going to get your breast cancer even if you were healthy. A colleague of mine had a heart attack and died this week. The skinniest man you ever met. But he can have a heart attack too and die. So just because you are thin doesn't mean you're going to live forever. Just because you are healthy, unfortunately, doesn't mean you're going to live forever. There's still stuff that's going to sneak up on us. But I'll tell you, the cleverer we get, the better we get at finding these little things that do take us down. And if we keep going the way that we are, if we take the responsibility, there is a very real chance that the age that we live to continues to increase. But importantly, none of us wants to be old and feeble and fraught. We want to be old and healthy and vital. We want to be active and we want to be involved in what's happening. We don't want to be rotting. So nobody wants to live to 110 in a wheelchair in an old age home. But we certainly do if we can be. Did you see the picture on the news of the South Africa's oldest woman, 119 years old? She's never learned to read or count. So she could be 60. But Nobody else picked that up in the news reports. Like, oh, sure, she's 119. So anyway, so she could be. Or she's just 11-9. She wasn't sure. The thing is, they're trying to find, she certainly does remember things which happened a damn long time ago. And that's quite cool, you know? So if they have it right, she's going to be the oldest woman in the world. I believe that's what they're actually looking into. And this is a little local lady that lives somewhere in our country. I didn't actually catch where she's from. But she's actually sitting in front of her own home with her own family. She's sitting there talking to the interviewer. She's not feeble and old and fraught. She still helps cook. She still looks after the home. She still looks after the kids. She's actually still contributing to what's happening. Her son, who's something like 77 years old, still lives with his mommy. But, and not a lot of people get to say that. So the thing about the luck phase, you might have bad genes. You might have a prostate issue because your dad had a prostate. You might have breast cancer because your granny or her granny. You might have gout because there's something in your body that just sort of collapses over time. But there is something about the luck that is important to remember. This is a Gary Player modified statement. You guys will have heard it. Anybody in corporate knows these things. But Gary Player's thing about the harder I work, the luckier I get. This for me is so, so important. Of course this counts. The harder you work, the luckier you get. The healthier you are when you get to 70, the more likely you are not to have those things. Because somewhere along the line, something has caused your body to deteriorate. And if you could have avoided that thing, in theory you could live forever. Unfortunately, we don't know what all those things are. And there's millions of things that combine to eventually have that effect. But the possibility exists. Okay, so that's the luck. Important. This is why I close with this. This is how you have to remember me for the rest of your life now. Okay, so there's the little summary for you guys if you want to just see on the slides. The gift, the effort, the reward, the luck. And this is where we are. This is the important bit because most of us, that's all over now. Nah, that's behind us. What else? What are we going to talk about? Well, let's quickly talk about the food that we're going to eat from now on. Before you go, we've got some prizes for the people who've lost the most weight. Although we don't care about losing weight, do we? No. But we've got prizes for those that did the best. And Louis had a prize. Where's that prize? Oh, Salome. Let me get that so long. Thank you. And in the category Best Supporting Actor.
That's one up for now. That's for the next one. Yeah. Sorry for the confusion.
There goes our first prize. Wait, I think I got $10 in there. New third prize. Don't say we don't give back, because I'm already in that phase. Okay, so how are we going to eat from now on? This is an equilibrium closing part. Here's the thing. You're actually not going to change anything. So the way you've been eating up until now, maybe you were hoping that at the last lecture I told you, listen here, everything we've been saying only counted for 12 weeks. So Coke is back in, coffee as much as you like, chocolate, please, and remember to share. Not really. Not a whole lot's going to change. What I want you to commit to this process of continuing to learn what your body responds well to and continuing to fight against the fight which you know there are foods out there that you do badly on, and by some weird, horrible irony of the universe, those are the foods you want the most. So it's easy to spot your problem foods. It's the ones you miss when they're not there. It's the ones you know stop you from losing your weight. So just keep fighting them. Just don't give up. One day it might break. You might be surprised. But other than that, your diet's going to stay the same. Basically, the food that you're going to eat is going to be the same food that you've gotten used to up until now. Nothing really is going to change. You're still going to separate your meals and your carbohydrates, if you decide to have them, less than 10%, preferably the less the better. But you're always going to prefer the lower glycemic index version of whatever you have. There was a list we gave you in the second or third lecture of how you decrease glycemic index. More food, mixing it with fatty food, lowers the glycemic index of food. It's in your second lecture. There was a little list I gave. Raw food is better than cooked food. Cold food is better than hot food. Remember a list like that? Kind of rings a bell somewhere? So there was a list that we did give you on that. Raw food is a trick. To get the value out of raw food, you do have to chew the food well. So when you eat pumpkin seeds and sunflower seeds and all those different seeds that are so healthy, you need to chew them really, really well, or you need to grind them to actually get the oils freed out of those seeds, because they are very bound up in a very strong fiber. So if you just put them into your muesli or on your bun, because you get health breads that are just sprinkled with pumpkin seeds. So that's not really a health bread. All those seeds are doing for you is they're acting like fiber. They're working their way through your system. So it's not like they're useless, but you're not getting the polyunsaturated fatty value of those seeds. So you have to chew really well. Raw food must be chewed properly. Fresh food rather than frozen foods. Swapping, this is just an old-fashioned principle which really is quite logical. If you've had a really big lunch, don't feel obliged to have supper. But remember, don't skip meals as a rule. If you've decided it's a day out, then maybe have a really small breakfast or have a fiber-rich breakfast. Make sure that your bowels are going to be working well. A good rule for a day that you're going to eat out, and it's buffet day, is have a protein breakfast small, not too long before the time, so that you don't end up at the buffet, slobbering. If there's ever saliva coming out of the corners of your mouth, you've done something wrong. Or you had a stroke. So you need to plan your day. It's fine. You can have those binge days and those big Christmas days and those celebration days. But then just balance it out. Don't eat 3 big meals on that day. Your body won't know what to do with it. Here's another trick on those days. Sometimes you can swap food for exercise. It's true. But if you do a Tabata before you go and eat like a pig, you actually will balance that out just ever so slightly. But it's still better than doing nothing. The worst thing we can do is do nothing and still eat as though we've been busy all day. So consider the Tabata. Tabatas can happen in very small bathrooms. You can just go in there for 4 minutes, flush the toilet when you're finished, else it's going to be, people will wonder what you've been doing in there. But, and then the sweat's going to be something to explain as well, I suppose. But at least you're going to look pumped. Should be nice. So, vegetarian days. Have days where you have no protein, no carbohydrates. Now, here's the rule of vegetarian days. Plan these days. I don't know if I've told you, but we like to have vegetarian meals. But what I hate more than a lot of things is when I get home after a long day at work and I'm quite hungry and I forgot it was vegetarian meal day. And there's soup. Because, it doesn't look like food, does it? And doesn't taste like food, does it? But I know that when I leave in the morning, and I know that night it's going to be a vegetarian meal, somehow my brain is just better prepared for it. So by planning those days, I definitely do better. Because you have families that come together and each is coming home with their own particular, something I feel like for tonight. I just felt like a steak. I just felt like some of that roast chicken that you make or something like that. So if we're all sort of expecting the same thing, you don't have that anticipation disappointment problem, which often is the only problem. I don't actually mind the soup. I just mind it because I felt like something that had red meat and gravy on it, or macaroni or something like that. Yes, I eat macaroni. Have non-carb days. Now you can combine your vegetarian and your non-carbs days. So you literally are having a fruit and veg day. And if you can do that once a week, one of the other popular diets has a meat, he has a meat-only day. I've adopted it because I actually like it in principle. We don't stress too much about vegetables and you don't stress about your salads. Have them the rest of the time, for sure. But on one day, eat only meat. Meat is an unbelievable ability to actually just use a lot of energy in its digestion. And when you don't mix it in with your carbohydrates, now the problem with the carbohydrates in this particular story is that most of our vegetables are carbohydrates. So what he's actually saying is have a completely carb-free day. because your tomatoes that are in your salad are very, very sweet carbohydrates. Lettuce is a carbohydrate. Cucumber is a carbohydrate. Carrots are carbohydrates. Peas are carbohydrates. Sweet potatoes, carbohydrates. They're all vegetables, but they're all carbohydrates. A lot of them are low GI carbohydrates, but once we've cooked them, we've actually made them very easy to digest. So they become less of a low GI and they start moving up towards a more high GI type of carbohydrate. Now, I didn't want you to stress about stuff like that. That's why in the beginning I told you there's only 5 carbs that are important for us. Do you remember those? Rice, mealies, wheat, oats, and that guy, the one that went to market. The pastas. No, that was flours. Flours and grains, rice, mealies. You know them, potatoes. So those are the carbs. Those are the high glycemic index, and those are the carbs we tend to abuse. So especially the potatoes and wheat are the 2 carbs we abuse the most. These are 2 foods that have been introduced into our diets from wartime because they are foods that could be stored. This is true. They could be stored, they could be grown en masse with relatively little effort. They could be transported around the world without having to be cooled. They can be transported unprocessed. So they were fantastic forms of energy that could be handed out all over the place. So you can hike around with potatoes in your backpack for 3 weeks before you cook them, which is not so easy with a piece of chicken, unless it's still alive. So those are sort of just approaches for the day. We better move a bit. What else do you need to know? This is important. Don't diet. Don't diet. Here's a really important thing that I've kind of adopted, and you can choose to do this or not. You've spent 12 weeks trying to lose weight, I hope. Let me just say it as though this is how it is for the camera. You've spent 12 weeks trying to diet. That means you have supposedly actively said, no, thank you, no, I'm trying to eat less and better. Now what I want you to do for the next 12 to 24 weeks is not actively diet anymore. I don't want you to keep trying to lose weight. Because what you've already seen happen, a lot of you, because it happens at different phases for all of us, is somehow you get tired of trying to lose weight. You get bored of yourself, you get bored of the eggs, you get tired of, it becomes too much of an effort, you're cheating more and more. The reason is you're tired of dieting. You've used up your budget, your diet budget. And we each have a different amount that we can allocate to that. And by abusing it, it actually has the opposite effect of what we need. People who do more diets do worse and worse and worse each diet that they do. Because you just use it up. You can't anymore. You're sick of it. You're tired of trying so hard and nothing works. And even if it does work, it's so hard you don't really care. So you kind of just keep falling back to your old ways. So don't diet. Maintain. At least try and keep the weight that you've lost. And at least prevent yourself going up. So here's a little story. I always say this, don't die. See, diet's got the word die in it. This is what you're busy doing. You're fading away. You're busy dying. So stop dying, live. Now just enjoy. Here's my rules for maintenance. I call it the yes quota. It's just an easy way to remember. When you want to gain weight, you have to say yes more than no. When somebody says, would you like this? Yes. Would you like a second one? Yes. Do you want to go to a buffet? Yes. Do you like Coke? Yes. Can you finish a packet of chips? Yes. Do you like chocolate? Yes. This is how you gain weight. I think we're all okay with this school, okay? So we know how it works. It's your yeses. You hear yourself say yes all the time. Every time you put something in your mouth, it's a yes. It's a vote for yay. You go to it. How about when we want to lose weight? When you want to lose weight, you have to say no more often than you say yes. No, not yes, I'll have one piece. No, I'll have none. Not yes, I will clean the dishes afterwards. But no, you wash the dishes. I have to go and do a tabata. You've got to say no. You've got to hear yourself saying no. You've got to get through your weekends where you say yes to everything and hear yourself saying no to the stuff that you know you like, but maybe you're trying to lose weight. So you've got to do something different than what you normally do. And one of the ways to start that process is say no. When you want to maintain your weight, this is the easiest one. Your no's must at least equal your yeses. So when you've said yes enough times, stop and start saying no again. So that at the end of the day, your quotient or your quota is equal. This is weight loss. It doesn't mean eat badly when you're in maintenance. It doesn't mean go back to the way that you were. It means eat little, eat moderately, eat healthily, and say yes and no an equal number of times. That's a really easy way to remember dieting, eh? So my entire diet book now basically is on the front page. My diet is called the 4E diet. Just say no. I think it'll sell well. I'm not sure. It'll be like 20 cents, 30 maybe. All right. That's a sad way to end, hey? We should have had drums and music.